Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Janet Mungai. I'm a mental health and wellness author, and the reason for having this YouTube channel is because I saw that there was a gap where most of the people are downloading my ebooks, but they do not get the time to finish them because of their busy working schedule, and so they usually come to me with questions. So I decided to open this YouTube channel so that I can summarize whatever is mostly on my books. So feel very much welcome, guys, and let's dive into today's topic. So guys, welcome back, and today I will be introducing mental health and wellness. I will be focusing on 4 major points, and that is: number 1, I will be defining what is mental health and wellness. Secondly, I will be stating some types of mental health disorders. Thirdly, I will be stating the myth and misconception revolving around mental health. And fourthly, I will be stating the importance of having a good mental health. Okay, so what is mental health and well-being? Mental health is a person's psychological, emotional, and social well-being. So it encompasses how a person thinks, how they feel, and also how they act, and how they can handle stress when they are faced with a stressful issue. Okay, mental health is very dynamic, meaning it changes with time, and it can be influenced by so many factors. Some of them including: number 1, genetics. You may find some people usually handle stress better than others, and it involves something in their genes. Secondly, you may find the life experiences. These people, when someone goes through a life experience that is so hard or so tough, so you find them that they can have mental health issues. And also the environmental conditions. You may find people who are at war every time, or people who are going through major catastrophes, especially in nature, or people who are in a certain environmental condition. They may be prone to having some types of mental health. Now that we know what is mental health, now let's dive into the types of mental health disorders. There are so many, but I will be focusing on 5. And these 5, I found them to be common in most of the people. So one of the mental health disorder is called anxiety disorder. Anxiety disorder is persistent worrying or having fear towards something that is so significant that usually affects a person's day-to-day life. So you may find someone is so afraid of being in a closed room or in a small space. You may find someone who is so worried about being in a large crowd. You may find someone who is so worried about being alone. Okay, so, and it is so significant that usually affects this person's day-to-day life. Such people, you may find them having things like panic attacks whenever they are maybe in that small space, or they may have they may sweat a lot because of the environment that they are in. Okay, another kind of mental health disorder is called mood disorder. Mood disorder is a significant change in a person's mood. Significant meaning it is too much, like too much change in a person's mood. You may find someone who is so happy at one time. They are very, very happy. And then the next, they are so sad and crying, okay? Or maybe you find someone who is very angry at one time, and then within some few minutes, then they are so happy. And this mood disorder, they are characterized into 2. There's something called depression and also bipolar disorder. I will not dive into it so much, but as time goes by, we will continue learning. Okay. Another kind of mental health disorder is called schizophrenia. And schizophrenia is a mental health disorder that causes distorted thinking, distorted behaviors, okay, distorted emotions, okay, and also distorted perception of things. The way that person's view things is not in a normal way, or the way that person thinks is not normal, okay? Or the emotions. Actually, these people tend to have like they usually don't have they usually have that restricted emotional behavior. Like they usually don't see any big deal with whatever they are doing, okay? That person may have that schizophrenia. There's also attention deficit or hyperactivity disorder. This is a kind of disorder that is neurodevelopmental, so meaning it starts from childhood, and if it is not realized as early as, or if it is not diagnosed early, it may proceed even to adulthood, okay? This disorder is characterized by difficulty with attention, okay? And finally, there's something called post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. And this kind of mental health disorder comes about because of witnessing something that is so traumatic in your life that causes you to have mental or post-traumatic stress disorder. You may find someone who maybe was raped may have post-traumatic stress disorder because of experiencing that traumatic event made them to have this kind of mental health disorder. Or maybe you may find someone who maybe witnessed maybe a car accident. Afterwards they develop PTSD, and some of the symptoms include nightmares. You may find this person always having nightmares, and also flashbacks, okay? And also there's something called emotional distress. Like whenever they have an episode, they usually have that emotional distress. There are so many other types of mental health disorders or mental health problems, but I decided to first of all state those 5, but as time goes by we will be stating more and more, okay? And we will be learning about more mental health disorders, and also how to identify that you have a mental health disorder. So as time goes by we will be learning, but before then, kindly subscribe to this channel and let's learn from each other. Comment down below what is your mental health situation, okay? So now that we have tackled some types of mental health disorders, now let's get into the myths and misconceptions revolving around mental health. Actually, there are so many myths and misconceptions revolving around mental health, and one of the myths is that mental health is very rare among people. Actually, that is not true. Mental health is very, very common among people. And actually, according to WHO, or World Health Organization, they always say that 1 person in 4 people will suffer mental health problems at some point in their lives. So mental health problems are very common among people. The second myth is that mental health is a sign of weakness. And actually, even this I have seen among so many people, saying that that person is weak just because they're suffering from anxiety disorder, or that person is weak because they're suffering from depression. But that is not true. Actually, mental health is not a sign of weakness. It is so complex. Actually, mental health issues, mental health problems are so complex because they involve genetics. Because you may find someone who can handle stress very well. They don't see anything that is wrong with handling stress. But you may find another person who cannot handle stress. Yeah, they are very strong. They appear very strong, but they cannot handle stress, okay? You may also find, because of the environmental factors, such that you may find people who are at war, they may suffer from mental health disorders because of maybe those panic, those trauma of seeing people fighting, or those trauma of seeing people dying. They suffer from mental health problems, and that is not a sign of weakness. That person is very strong, only that they cannot, because of the environmental factors that revolve around them, then they develop mental health problems. Another myth is that people with mental health problems are dangerous and violent. Actually, this is something that I have seen so many people saying. They tend to isolate from someone who is suffering from mental health. And actually, someone who is suffering from mental health, they are not dangerous, because some of them may be even victims of that violence, okay? So they are not dangerous. So actually, you may find maybe that person who maybe was a victim of violence even doesn't like seeing people arguing. they will just get out from there. Okay, so those people are not violent at all. And because of this, actually some of those people who are suffering from mental health, they tend to face that social stigma that people do not want to associate with them, thinking that they will be violent, but they cannot be violent. They are not violent. Actually, majority of them are not violent. Yeah, there are some people who suffer from mental health disorder and they become violent, but majority of people who suffer from mental health problems, they are not violent at all. Another myth is that children do not experience mental health problems. That is a very big myth. Remember, this child they are growing, okay, and they are seeing so many things. So mental health problems actually cut along all ages, okay. You may find a child who is 10 years who is suffering from mental health. You may find an old person who is 70 years who is suffering from mental health. Even children do suffer from mental health. You may find a child who has come from a home that maybe the husband abused the wife. So that child tends, because of seeing that violence, they tend to isolate themselves, okay, or they tend to develop mental health problems such as anxiety disorders, because every time the father comes into the house, he or she knows that my dad will just beat my mom. So you see that person suffering from anxiety. So every time maybe that child sees two people quarreling, they may have that panic attack. Another misconception is that you can snap out of mental health. Actually, that's a lie. You cannot just snap out of mental health. People who are suffering from mental health disorders, they actually need help, okay. Some of them may need even medical support, being given the medicine and all that, but majority of the people who are suffering from mental health need support, and support in terms of therapy. They may need to go to therapy so that they can get out from their mental health. They may also need professional treatment. They may see a counselor who will help them walk through that journey of mental health so that they can have good mental health. Okay, so yeah, there are so many other myths and misconceptions revolving around mental health, like mental health drugs. They will give you side effect. They will have adverse side effects. Actually, that's a myth. Yes, there's those drugs that will have those adverse side effects, but actually majority of the people who are suffering from mental health, the only thing they require is therapy or professional treatment, that is therapy and counseling, and they will just get out of that mental health issue. Another myth that I had once somewhere is that people who are living with mental health cannot have a normal life. Actually, that's a very big myth, because people who are living, it's just that they have mental health, but they can live a fulfilled life once they have gotten the support that they need. Now that we have seen the myths and the misconception revolving around mental health, let's look at the importance of having a good mental health. Because when you have a good mental health, there are so many benefits that comes with having a good mental health, and one of them is productivity. Actually, you become more productive in various areas of your life. May it be personal life, may it be professional life, may it be relationship life. You become so productive. Another thing, you develop resilience. So meaning every time you face difficult situations, you always bounce back from them, and also you become more stronger when you bounce back from stressful situations. Also, people who have good mental health, they have emotional well-being, meaning they are able to express their emotions in a healthy way. They do not have to just quarrel or have fights. They will express their emotions in a very, very healthy way. And also, someone who has a good mental health can be able to identify when they have a mental health problem at an early stage, because they will sit back, evaluate themselves, and see that this is not how my mental health is, and they can be able to seek for help as early as they can before the mental health problem becomes too much. Okay, also these people, they are so creative, because remember, mental health problems always makes us think about their problems, so they become creative. So when you have a good mental health, you become more creative, you can have new ways of earning money, you become you have that time to prioritize your mental health. There are so many benefits which comes with having a good mental health, but in this video I was only introducing whatever I will be covering as time goes by, and I hope you guys just subscribe to my channel so that we can learn from each other. Remember, I'm a writer, I'm not a professional counselor, or I'm not a professional counselor, so we can learn from each other. Don't be afraid to air out your mental health problems, and remember that it is okay to not be okay. So many of us usually go through some mental health issues and problems at one point in life. I have been there, I know how it feels, so it is okay to not be okay, and do not be afraid to reach out. So if you have a problem, don't be scared to reach out and say, I have this problem, please help me. Even if maybe that person whom you're reaching out to will not help you, but maybe they can refer you to a professional counselor who can help you, who can give you the ways of getting out of that mental health problem. So do not be afraid to ask for help, and if you are too afraid, do not be afraid to reach out. If you cannot reach out to people out there, reach out to me. We will walk this journey together. So comment down below, guys, subscribe to this channel, and see you in my next video. I love you guys.